We're talking to.
Hold it. All right, everybody, welcome to the Mansfield Buzz, and we're getting ready to get started on the show today, so we'll be right back with you. Let me get our song going.
Welcome to Mansfield Buzz, Jordan Hurdy in the mix, spotlighting local stories, every episode's a fix, unearthing unique gems, what makes them shine. Tune in, get ready, we're diving into their grind. With Jordan's questions, we reveal what's at the core. Hurdy's tech wizardry, bringing stories to the fore. Together we create, start showcasing what's unique. Mansfield Buzz, where content creation sleek. Calling all business owners and customers to the scene. Discover authentic gems, find the best you've ever seen. Meet the faces behind each unique space. Trust in their stories, find community in this place.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Mansfield Buzz. It is Thursday, 2 p.m., and we are live every single Thursday from 2 to 3 o'clock on the YouTube, Facebook. I did not stream it to LinkedIn today on purpose. There's a reason, Jordan. I think you know what that reason is. So we wanted to be really careful there. But our guest is Russ Arnold from National Success Group, Firearms Solutions. We're going to be talking to him a few minutes. Your two hosts are Jordan Huff and Hurdy Burke, and we've been doing now, Jordan, almost I was just calculating, I think around 52 shows since we started back in March of last year.
That's awesome.
And if you guys will do me a favor, come in listening live, you need to go over, and I think Jordan's going to pull it up. You can pull up our YouTube channel, Jordan, over there on the side. You can find us at youtube.com at Mansfield TX Buzz. Do me a favor right now while you're listening, or you want to comment, go in and click on the subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell, but right below this video, there's a little thumb. That one right there, click it, like it. It helps the algorithm on Google to let people know that they really do care about our broadcast. But I will tell you that most of the people listen to us like to come back and listen to it on their time, in their car, driving down the road, sitting at their office. So be prepared for that. Jordan, we're still averaging around, we bumped up to 150 subscribers. We're still averaging that 1.7 thousand views per every 28 days. And we're still in the 45 to 50 watch time hours. So we have a lot of subscribers that like to come in and pay attention to the show. I wouldn't be surprised if someone want to comment. And if they do, what we do, just so Russ knows, is we have the ability to post a chat live that comes in as a question and post it right there on the broadcast. So chat, ask questions, say hi, and click that like button right there below the deal. All right. So also, if you ever want to be on our podcast, it's real simple. You just go over to Hurdy at hurdyburke.com. That's my business address. And the subject line, put, I would love to be on your fantastic Mansfield Buzz show, and I really love Jordan. And if you'll just put that up in the subject line, then I'll know to get in contact with you and get you booked and give you some date options for the show. All right, Jordan, so are we ready for me to play our intro to our icebreaker section with our sponsor? We want to introduce them definitely. And hold it, we already got a comment. So before I do that, let's not rush. Sandra Fawcett says, hello. All right. So so we got that done. All right. Yep. So, all right, guys. So we're going to do the icebreaker section. We'll be back with you in about 12 seconds. All right, everybody. So we want to thank our sponsors, libertytaxdefenders.com. You'll see that link right here, but let me read a little disclaimer. Actually, I'm not going to read it anymore. I'm going to give you a synopsis of it because they said I could do that. So we at Liberty Tax Defenders, they're a premier tax resolution firm. If you ever get a letter from the IRS, don't call. Call these guys. That's the first instructions they told us. Make sure you don't call those guys yourself. Make sure you call them. So they like to work with these overzealous bureaucrats. They work with back taxes. And something new they're doing now is they've also become a full CPA firm, offer CPA services to businesses. And I don't know if Russ knows this, but Brad is the mayor of Kenningdale. And also in his past, Russ, wrote 15 years worth of code for the IRS. So if you want to talk to somebody that can work directly with the IRS, it might be the guy that wrote their code. Okay, so
Good. Yeah.
always, and they're right here in our backyard. So y'all, they saved about $2 million in asset taxes and penalties for clients. So you can reach them at 817-995-5008. We post the link in the description on the archive, but go check out libertytaxdefenders.com, and that's our first icebreaker. So Jordan, you get to talk about his icebreaker and take away our question. Say, Russ, thanks for being here, my friend. We're glad to have you on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. My pleasure. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in, man. We've been looking forward to this one for a while, so it's finally here.
Yeah.
And so we're going to kick this off with something that I think anybody that knows you knows a little bit about, but maybe not enough. Let's talk about the rodeo.
Yeah, let's do.
Okay, so in addition to the firearm business, we also have a promotional business, and we do a little bit of business with Fort Worth Rodeo, a lot of business with San Antonio Rodeo, and a little bit with the Houston Rodeo. Because of that connection, we do have season tickets at all three rodeos. So that's what, 60 plus some odd performances by the time you get through all three, January, February, and March. So we may attend ourselves 5 or 6 of those. And we were really looking forward to seeing Journey. All right, that will tell you basically what my age is. And my wife and I were in Houston, staying at a really nice hotel, got to NRG Stadium a little bit early, and we're kind of watching the rodeo and Journey, it's time for Journey to come on. So they have this big, I think it costs $3 million. It's called the Star of Texas, which is the stage that Houston Rodeo brings out to the middle of the arena when the performer comes on. So out comes the stage, and it doesn't come down right away. There's a pause, and then finally it comes down. So Journey starts singing. So they do their first 2 songs, and there's 75,000 people. I mean, the stadium's about sold out. And they do their first 2 songs, and everyone's up and clapping and singing along and having a great time. And then they get into the 3rd song, which is, and I can't remember the name, but it's one of their most popular, been there forever. Everybody knows the word to this song. And they start the 3rd song, and everybody's singing along. And all of a sudden, the lead singer stops singing, or you can't hear his voice anymore. Well, the rest of the audience, 75,000 people, they're still singing. You know, performers do that. I mean, especially the older ones who know that you know the words to their song. They'll sing a while, then they let you sing. They'll sing a while, let you sing. Well, so this goes on for like 45 seconds, and the lead singer's not coming back on again. And it's like, so are we going to finish the concert all by ourselves? He's just going to. Well, what had happened was they had an electrical fire underneath the stage. They lost all their power to the stage.
Yeah, imagine that.
So right in the, basically, just about in the middle of that particular song. So make a long story short, they had to cancel that concert, and Rodeo wound up basically issuing refunds for all of those people.
Wow.
And the thing, I mean, and technically you're buying a ticket to the rodeo.
Right.
The performance is kind of a bonus at the end.
Yep.
The rodeo happened. The rodeo was great. Everyone got to see the rodeo, but Houston Rodeo, they refunded everyone's tickets, you know, in full if you wanted it. So, and after all those performances and waiting that long to see Journey, we got exactly 2.5 songs. So anyways.
Right. So Russ, Sandra says, "Don't Stop Believing" was the name of the song.
That's it. Don't stop.
Don't stop believing.
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah.
They should change it now to "Don't Stop Singing."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. It caught on fire. That's, you don't hear that very often. That is crazy.
No, but they had it up and running the next day. They got it fixed, got everything straightened out. And on social media, probably about 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon the following day. And I think this was on a Saturday. I think Journey was on a Friday night. So this was Saturday. And they sent out social media, hey, everything's fixed, everything's great. Rodeo will go on as scheduled and planned, and so will the performers, and they did. And we wound up seeing, we also saw Brooks and Dunn. Again, I'm showing my age. and Luke Bryant. So it was a great time. It's a great show. So
That's cool. Well, we all love Journey, and that shows both our ages, Russ, just so you know.
I know.
It's the classics, man. It's okay.
Yeah. Jordan, that word even makes it worse. It's the classics.
It's vintage.
That's right. There you go. All right. The fun stuff begins, Jordan.
Yes, let's get into the show. So I want to ask you some questions. First one, so for the people that don't know you and know your store, so tell us, what is Firearms Solutions, and then where is it at?
Okay. Well, Firearms Solutions, we are a retail gun store, here in the Mansfield area. We are sandwiched between, pun intended, Primo's restaurant, Mexican restaurant, sandwich as in food, and Walt. So I've got these two great, wonderful restaurants on each side of me, and we happen to be right in the middle.
You're right there in the corner, right in the middle. Yep.
Right there in the corner. So that's at the corner of Matlock and Country Club Drive in the El Primo Plaza.
So you go into El Primo's, go a little past it, right around the bend, and you're right there in the corner.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
hidden.
Little a hidden gem, right?
I'm sorry?
It's a hidden gem.
Hidden gem, yes. I wish it wasn't quite so hidden. But no, it's a great location. Obviously, Mansfield's a growing city. We've been open about 5 years now, and do a lot of the gun shows in and around the area. I know we have a gun show this weekend in Mesquite, and our store manager will be there. We do the Fort Worth gun show. We also do the Waxahachie gun show. So it's a fun business. It really is. It's a great business. You're helping people, educating people. It's just a great way to kind of give back.
Right.
And one thing I got to ask you is because, we're in Texas. I think a lot of us have thought about it. At some point, it's like, it'd be really cool to have a gun store, a firearm store, right? And you actually did it. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it was kind of a long, involved way of getting to the gun store. It started by getting my auctioneer's license. And I wanted to be, and I did. So I became a licensed auctioneer here in the state of Texas.
Wow.
The two areas that I wanted to specialize in were charity auctions and or estate sales. Well, on the estate sales side, especially in Texas, chances are if you do an estate sale, you're going to be doing firearms. Well, as an auctioneer, you can sell them. In other words, you can call the numbers, but you cannot transfer them. You need to bring a federal firearm licensee in to actually do the transfers. So I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to actually call the numbers and do the auctioning, why don't I just go ahead and get the FFL, and then I can also do the transfers. So it makes things a little simpler. I'm not hiring another person to come and do that.
Absolutely.
So I got the FFL, which isn't too hard to do, honestly. But a stipulation is you now have to have a physical address for the FFL. You can no longer do it out of your home or your garage. You have to have a commercial location. So we found the location that we are currently at, opened the gun store, and we're off and we're running and we're ready to do business.
Right.
And then I discovered that the markup in the firearm industry, at best, on firearms is about 30%.
Wow.
So if I'm buying a gun, if I'm selling a gun for $1,000, just for ease of math, that gun costs me on average $700 from my distributor to sell that gun. So I make $300.
Right.
Well, I wish that $300 that has to pay the rent, the lights, the utilities, the payroll, the marketing. So it's like, ooh,
oh, wow.
we need to probably find something along the lines that has a slightly better margin than firearms. But anyways, here we are. So that's how that happened.
And by the way, I've been in this store several times. It's great. You should go visit it, go check it out. It's laid out really cool. It's a good place to buy ammo and hang out. But, we're going to talk about some other stuff. So, Jordan, I just wanted to say it's a cool store, cool place. Very cool.
One of the nice things about this store is my wife, when we were putting the store together, I mean, the store really is very, very nice. It's all wood floors and custom wood gun cabinets. And I mean, it really is a very nice upscale shop. So we're designing everything, and I'm kind of on a roll. And my wonderful wife, Sherry, says to me, well, what do I get to do? And I said, well, honey, what would you like to do? She says, well, I want to do the bathroom. I said, terrific. Okay. You do whatever you want to do. The bathroom is yours. Just tell me what I need to buy, what you need to order. Everything's good. So I guarantee you, we have the nicest restroom of any gun store, any place in the country.
And I believe that.
And I say that for those women out there who would possibly want to be, customers or come into a gun store.
Yeah.
This is not your typical big burly 6'5",
No.
250 pound. You're talking to a man who's hovering over you, and you can't go in the ladies' room because Lord knows what's growing in there. No, this is absolutely a woman friendly store. So
yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can vouch to that. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. You know what? Now I want to check out the bathroom.
Yeah, you need to go check out the store, Jordan.
Yeah.
You're here.
I went to the store, but I didn't go to the bathroom. I was like,
Yeah,
man,
you did.
I missed out.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So, going into the store, and as you were, setting up the store, now you're starting to run the business that you kind of just like found your way into. Then you had to narrow down, right? Because I mean, when we're talking about the gun industry, it's as broad as it gets. So then, what you guys decided to focus on? What brands and services do you guys offer?
Well, we offer pretty much everything. We do not have a live range, so you cannot come in and actually shoot the firearms that we sell. But there are other ranges where you can do that. Because we don't offer a live range, we do have a very unique policy that is absolutely contrary to our industry. We have a policy: if you come in and you purchase a firearm, you can take it home, take it to the range, fire the gun. And if for some reason you don't like it, you've got 30 days to bring it back, and we will exchange it for something of equal or greater value.
That's awesome.
It's unheard of in the firearm industry.
That is unheard of. Absolutely.
Generally speaking, if you're in a gun store, when you buy it and walk out the door, you and that gun are married forever.
Yep.
Until you sell it to someone else. You're not bringing it back. And one other store, and actually we got this idea from the Drury's in San Antonio, which is another really, really good, great gun store down in that area. They do that same thing. And we thought, well, man, if it works for them, it should also work for us. So you really can buy something and you don't have to worry about whether you get it home or like it or not like it. You can bring it back and we will exchange it for you. Absolutely.
And you can step out the bathroom while you do it, as Sherry is right now pointing out.
Sherry just pointed out it's the best bathroom in Mansfield. I believe her.
You've already covered that, honey. Sorry. Okay.
Right. And Elisa Jarvis says hi, just so you know.
Okay.
We're getting chatters and people, and Russ, we like to post those because we want people to feel like they're getting noticed when they come in. We appreciate them watching the show, so we always post the comments. Okay, just
that's
so you know.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Jordan, let me get that for you.
So touching a little bit on the brands and services too, and I asked this because when I went into your office, I saw that beautiful gun that you can't see from this perspective on the camera, but you have it right above the entrance to your office. Do you guys offer customized work?
We can do some customized work, customized shop. We don't do gunsmithing. We don't have a gunsmith per se. Mm-hmm. That's a very specialized area, and we don't really have the room for it. And you really need to have someone who knows what they're doing. Just because someone has shot for a long, long time doesn't necessarily mean they know enough to be able to go inside the inner workings of a gun and repair it or make changes to it and still have it be a safe firearm.
Or even clean it.
I'm sorry?
Or even clean it.
Or even clean it, yeah. Now we can do cleaning. Our manager is very, very good at that. So we can do basic cleaning, basic services like that. Mm-hmm. We started the store really kind of right in the middle of COVID. So getting firearms, in fact, getting anything, let alone firearms, was really difficult. Everyone was running out of everything because no one was working or no one was able to work. So we somehow managed to get into a niche where we wound up having a source where we could get Henry lever action rifles. And for some reason, we could get them when no one else could. And so we really became the store, especially in this area, if you were looking for a Henry. We've had some of the big box main sporting goods stores in the area who actually, the customer walks in, they say, well, I'm looking for a Henry, such and such, so-and-so. And they'll say, okay, we don't have that. We're never going to have that. Call Firearms Solutions because more than likely they will. So we have over, on average, 50 different models of Henry guns in stock, and probably 100 to 150 different Henry firearms. And we just, again, kind of lucked into it. And it's a great gun. It's an American-made gun. Has a lifetime guarantee. It's a very conservative company. They have recently announced they're moving out of New Jersey. Their manufacturing was in New Jersey and Wisconsin. So they're moving out of New Jersey, moving everything now to Wisconsin. So it's a great company, great gun. So that's how we kind of walked into that. We carry everything: the Glocks, the Smith and Wessons, the SIGs, pretty much everything. We have a small contingency of black guns or modern sporting rifles, if you will, ARs. Not a whole lot. We're not a tactical kind of store. We're more of a shotgun shooting, hunting, 30-06 whitetail deer hunting type store.
Yeah, like mule deer guns.
Yeah, mule deer guns, exactly. Yeah.
Love it. Oh, Henry's, good guns. Good guns.
Great gun. Yeah.
Good, and good looking too.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and we can the gun you're talking about that's over the door of my office, it's actually in a walnut frame that we can get from Henry. And we've probably put together, probably close to 20 of those, where someone comes in, they're looking for a real unique gift. So they'll pick out the gun that they would like, and it's a Henry tribute normally of some kind. It could be a scout gun. We have an Eagle Scout Henry tribute that they do. We have a rodeo tribute that they do. They have a Texas tribute that's a black gun and with inlaid, gold Texas stars on it. And it has a really nice plate that Henry supplies. And then we will personalize another brass plate to whatever this particular person who's buying the gift would like to have it personalized for. In fact, we did 3 of those for 3 friends who kind of throw a big birthday bash, invite all their friends in San Antonio. And they are definitely the 3 guys what do you buy someone who has everything? And these 3 guys definitely qualify. Mm-hmm. So we did 3 of them matching for those 3 guys as their presents. And there was about, I think 20 people that went in on that. Each paid a little bit of money, but it's really a very unique gift. And there's no glass on the frame. So you can take the firearm out and shoot it if you would like, and then you can put it back in there and display it on your wall.
Right.
Very seldom do they actually take it out and shoot it. Most of the time it's displayed in the wall.
Yeah. Sherry mentioned Kimber.
All right, we have Kimbers. All right, Kimbers are the Cadillac of handguns, if you will.
Right. They are
very, very nice guns. They tend to be a little more expensive, but it's versus a Cadillac versus a Chevrolet. Right. Chevrolet will get you there, and it will get you there just fine. Cadillac will get you there with a little more style, a little more fashion. So why do you think maybe that happens to be my wife's favorite? Okay.
Trying to see a pattern here.
Yeah, she also has a SIG too, but she
cool.
She tends to like the Kimbers, and they are really, really nice.
That's cool. Texas came out, Russ, just made me think of a story. We're talking about guns. I sold it to a collector. I had the Texas Esquintennial 3030 that they came out with, or what we call, that shorter version of the rifle. It had the history of Texas engraved in in the stock itself. It was brass and it was really cool. And I kept it in the case, and some guy bought it from me about 15 years ago. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love it. I love ceremonial. I love ceremonial stuff. You can put on walls and stuff. So
Right.
There you go. Fun stuff.
Me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And since we're talking also about really high end guns, and you have your ranges of the different qualities that you get, seems like you carry some really nice ones. But what are the warranties that you guys offer?
Like we just talked about, our warranty is if you come in and you purchase a gun from us and you take it home and you shoot it and you don't like it for whatever reason, as long as you bring it back and you don't drop it or destroy it, and you bring back all the box and the parts and the pieces, and we get it back basically in the same condition that we gave it to you in, only obviously now it's been fired. We'll let you exchange that gun for something of equal or greater value.
Unbelievable.
That recently happened. We in fact, the young lady that purchased a gun, it was a Sky, which is a relatively inexpensive but a very, very nice gun. It's lightweight, easy to fire. It's a great gun for conceal and carry. And she works here in the complex someplace, right over just not too far away. She came in, she purchased this gun. And she's great, terrific, fabulous. It was on a Friday. And took it home over the weekend. Her boyfriend and her went into the range and she shot the gun. So she came back in on Monday. Well, this particular gun happened to had what we call a thumb safety on it, which is a safety where you just kind of lift the thumb lever up and it puts the gun on safety. Well, there was a little ridge of plastic molded into the handle around that thumb safety. And that ridge of plastic basically was hitting her between the thumb and her index finger.
Okay.
Well, after 4 or 5 times of that, it started to hurt.
Yeah.
So she brought it back and she said, man, I love the gun, except that when I shoot it, after 4 or 5 rounds, okay, it's starting to hurt there. So what can we do? I said, well, it's real easy. Let's pick out another gun that doesn't have that ridge on it and something that's not gonna
Right.
hurt. So we took that gun back, and when we take them back, at that point, it is a used gun, technically, because we've transferred it. We've done the paperwork and transferred out of our name into someone else's. So we, at that point, will sell the gun as a demo or a slightly used gun, and they get a new gun, and life goes on.
Yeah.
As far as guarantee, all of our guns are guaranteed for the life of the original purchaser. So
Wow.
a lot of the guarantees are from the manufacturers, like Henry guarantees their guns. Some of the guns are guaranteed by our distributors. Davison's, which is one of our big distributors, any gun that we get from them is guaranteed in addition to whatever the manufacturer has on it. Davison's also guarantees the gun for life. Occasionally, there may be a gun that isn't guaranteed by the manufacturer or guaranteed by the distributor, in which case we just guarantee that gun ourselves. So as long as you own the gun, if you have any issues or problems with the gun, you bring it back in, we send it back to the manufacturer, they repair the gun, they send it back to us, and you pick it up at your convenience. It's that easy. You don't have to call anyone, you don't have to mess with anyone. You simply bring the gun to us and say, here, it's not working. I say, no problem. So we pack it up, ship it off, get it back, and then we call you and say, your gun's here, it's ready to be picked up.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. That's so helpful too, because having to deal with all that and having to file the paperwork, ship it off, go back, like it's such a hassle. Like it's wonderful that you can do that for your people.
Well, when you're shipping firearms, there's so many rules and regulations that you can inadvertently get yourself in trouble without even knowing it.
Yep.
So if you're going to ship a gun any place, take it to an FFL. Most of them charge maybe $50, $75 to do a transfer, even if it's person to person. But then it's done right. The paperwork has been followed. The gun is where the gun is supposed to go. You haven't broken any laws. You're not going to have the ATF on your front porch knocking, with these badges on. And it just, the peace of mind is well worth it.
Agreed.
And this is a great segue, because now we're going to get a little bit into the the legal side and the do's and don'ts of owning guns and firearms. But several years ago, Texas passed the constitutional carry, and we were talking about this before the show as we're preparing, right? But so now you don't necessarily need a license, but you still should, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like when, before the show started, we were talking, and it's very equivalent to if they decided that no one had to get a driver's license. Okay, we're just going to make, because you were born in the United States, doesn't make any difference how old you are, doesn't make any difference what your background is, you have the right to drive a car. Well, heaven forbid what the road would look like in that particular case. So it really is one of these deals, because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should do something.
Exactly.
Now, I say that there's a lot of people out there who are doing constitutional carry, who are very, very qualified, no firearms, and probably would have no problem passing a license to carry class. They just choose not to take it. For the average person, the advantage of doing the license to carry class is, number one, they go through what the laws are. Where can you carry, where can you not carry? They will go through scenarios. When can I pull the trigger? When am I justified to actually pull the trigger and use lethal force? And when am I not? The other advantage to it is, more than likely, if you're ever in a situation, heaven forbid, and you have to pull the trigger, even if it is absolutely, positively justified, no doubt whatsoever, you're going to probably spend between $50,000 and $75,000 in attorney fees. If it's not legally to get you out of it, so the police say, hey, no, man, this is justified shooting, you're good to go. Well, you're going to have to deal with mom and dad and aunts and uncles and husbands and wives and brothers and sisters. Someone's going to be upset that you shot someone. So they're going to file all kind of civil suits.
Right.
So when it's all said and done, when you're looking at $500, $750, $1,000 an hour for attorneys, it's going to add up real quick. Well, with a license to carry, you can actually sign up for U.S. Law Shield, which is a company out of Houston, and they will help cover those attorney fees if you ever have to use the gun in self-defense. Now, there's some other outfits out there as well that do that. I think there's a place called Legal Shield, which also has a program like that. So I'm not necessarily suggesting any of those or recommending any of those, other than the fact that they are there. Mm-hmm. And if you are going to carry a gun, okay, you really need to spend the $150 or $125 a year that it costs to have someone help you if you, heaven forbid, ever have to use it.
Absolutely. And I would, let me comment on this a little bit, and that is, Russ, is that constitutional carry has different rules from LTC. So meaning that you have some other things you can do with LTC you can't do with constitutional carry, correct?
Absolutely. If constitutional carry, if I simply put a sign on my door, no guns allowed. Constitutional carry, you cannot carry a gun inside that store.
That is correct.
That place of business. License to carry, unless they have specifically posted what is called a 30-06, I believe a 30-05, on their front door, which is a specific sign worded a specific way and of a specific size. License to carry, if you've concealed it, you can actually walk into that place of business. The no guns allowed will not necessarily stop someone who has a license to carry. Now, obviously, use a little bit of common sense here. If the store has said no guns allowed, legally, you can walk in there. Don't press it. Don't go in. Don't go in there with your firearm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Conceal. That's what we call it.
Because I can do it doesn't necessarily mean that I should. Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So, there's you can buy the book from U.S. Law Shield, the whole updated book on the rules for carry. If you're LTC or conventional carry, they've updated that, just so you know, Russ. It's really good. And I recommend that anybody that carries a gun around or has one should read the book, because it's really detailed. It gets into the where you can and can't, period. And it even tells you what to beware of. So, it's
Well,
it's good. It's good to know the law. It's good to know the law.
if you're carrying the gun, the only reason you would carry a gun is so that in the event that something happened or you were in a circumstance where you felt threatened, you're going to use the gun. I mean, carrying a gun is not comfortable. And I don't care what kind of holster
You're right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not carrying it just basically because it's a comfortable thing to do. You're carrying it because you have the potential of using it.
That's right.
If you're going to have the potential of using it, make sure you know and understand when, how, and where you should or should not basically be carrying that gun, and also where you should use the gun.
Can I throw in a herdism here?
Sure.
I get so tired of people calling guns weapons, and we've been really good today about calling a gun a gun. That's just a herdism, okay? Just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's a very, very good point. And when I started my coaching career, I coach a lot of shotgun sports, specifically the clay targets. And I started with Dr. Howard, who was ran the Texas 4-H shooting sports program. He was a professor at Texas A&M University. And he talked about, in the 4-H world and the youth shooting world, you'll never, ever hear a firearm referred to as a weapon. It's only a weapon in the hands of the military, in the hands of a police officer, but anything can be a weapon. And he used to say, a sharp pencil can be a weapon. I mean, it's a writing utensil, but if all of a sudden I decide I'm going to stab you with it, it has now become a weapon.
My weapon.
Yeah, we are very, very careful. In my world, we don't use firearms as weapons.
That's correct.
Military does, law enforcement does. Thank God that they do, and thank God that they're there. But in our world, we refer to them as firearms. They're a tool.
Right.
That's it. They're basically a tool like any other tool. You just need to respect it and be careful with it.
Right, there you go. Agreed.
Yeah. Point. Very good point, Herbie.
Thanks.
Nice. And one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I didn't know the difference between the signs. That was new to me, between having a official sign that can actually go prevent a concealed carry versus just your average sign that says just no weapons allowed, or no there I go, right. No firearms allowed. And what kind of places can you not bring a gun altogether?
Again, common sense. Okay, you cannot, if a restaurant sells more than 51% of their business is alcohol, you cannot take a firearm in there.
That is correct.
You cannot take a firearm into sporting events. Obvious reasons, okay?
Yeah.
You cannot take a firearm into courthouses or federal buildings or generally speaking, government buildings, period, whether it be city, county, state, federal. You cannot take a firearm into a school. Most schools, especially public schools, are gun-free zones. I believe it used to be that you could not carry in a hospital, but I don't think that's true anymore. I wouldn't swear to it, but I think now hospitals actually have to post. The 30-05 is an open carry sign. So it's 3005. Basically, it says you cannot open carry on this property. The 3006 is the conceal and carry sign, and it says you cannot conceal and carry on this property.
Yeah. So, hey, Russ, I'm going to back you up a little bit. I think it's 306 and 307 now.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Same thing you're saying. But yeah. 306, 307. Yeah.
So if a business has the 07 posted, well, that means you can't open carry, but you could conceal carry. As long as they cannot see the gun, you're good. Now, I can't imagine anyone posting the 06 and not posting the 07. In other words, you're not going to say, well, I don't want you to conceal and carry, but it's okay to open carry. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But again, that's the two different signs. 06, 07. One is for conceal and carry, the other one's for open carry. If someone doesn't want you to bring any gun into their store, they really need to have both of those signs posted.
And a good person, LTC, knows that the best way to carry a gun is concealed. Period. No ifs, ands, and buts. So that way you don't, managers have a right to come up to you in a store and say somebody saw it and would you please leave? And at that point you get to walk out of the store, okay, and say, right. There you go. So there are things, but you should just carry it concealed so nobody can see it.
Right.
Period.
And the thing is, if and again, let's give why are you carrying a firearm? Well, you're carrying a firearm because you think you might be in a situation where you may have to use it.
Exactly.
The last thing I want to do if I'm in that situation is that the bad guy know that I have a gun. It's like, no, I really want it to be a surprise. I don't want him to know, yeah, this person is armed. So.
And you know what, Russ, the thing about the LTC classes, and this is something for people that are considering it. Let me tell you something. You have a whole new respect for a firearm and a gun. When you go through training, you fire it. You learn how to rapid fire in a certain amount of seconds. You go through a class. You understand how important it is that it's just for self-defense, right? Or if you have to take care of yourself, that this is an important thing. And I think a lot of people just like to say they carry one, to say I carry a gun in Texas. But the problem is you never want to use it ever, ever, ever. And you sure as heck respect it, because you've been through the classes. And I think that's the difference between an LTC and conventional carry. That's just my opinion, okay? But I think it just gives you a lot more respect for the gun. I really do.
I agree with you. And we do offer license to carry classes here in the store. We normally try to do them once a month or on a Saturday. You come in 8 o'clock, we have coffee and donuts and Danish and fruit. The class is basically held right here at the store. Everything is done, including the test. And about 1 o'clock, you head over to the range. They do the qualifying, and by 3 o'clock, you're done. So basically, one Saturday, and you've got the whole thing knocked out. You've got your license to carry, and honestly, you're a whole lot more knowledgeable than you were when you first came in. So
correct.
We recommend, if you're going to carry a firearm, go ahead, spend the one day.
Yeah.
And get the license to carry, so you know what you're doing and you're protected.
Correct. Good.
That's very good advice. Now another thing I wanted to ask you about, and this one is, because of how the world is moving now. But nowadays you can order anything online, right? Like you can even order ice cream online. I don't know how to order. Can you buy a firearm online? Is that like, are we at that point now?
Well, when politicians use that, what they're implying is, well, he bought it online or he bought it on the internet. And they're implying that I went to the internet, I found the gun that I wanted, I paid my money, I put in my shipping address, and they sent me the gun.
Yeah.
No.
I'm laughing.
Absolutely not. Can you buy absolutely, you can buy a gun online. So I can go to Xander's, or I can go to Bass Pro Shop, or any one of a billion different gun stores and gun companies. And there's some of them that do nothing but online sales. And I can purchase a firearm, and I can pay for that firearm. And then the last thing that happens after I have paid for it and I'm finishing the checkup is they're going to put in, what FFL do you want this firearm shipped to? So they're not shipping it to you.
Right.
They're going to ship it to someone like me. FFL is a federal firearm licensee.
Right.
We have a license to handle firearms and guns. So they're going to ship it to me. You're going to come into my store, and I'm going to run a background check on you. If you don't pass the background check, you're not getting the gun. That's simple. That is that is the law of the land. And to my knowledge, if there are outfits out there that are selling guns and shipping directly to an individual, I guarantee you the ATF will come knocking on their door very, very soon.
It won't be knocking on their door.
It may be a very loud, very hard.
Yeah. And I think that's what and that's really disturbing to me that's presented that way, because anybody that knows that's purchased a firearm gun is going to go through a background check, and they're going to have, and it's extensive, and there's going to be a waiting period, and you're going to have to pass that background check. And if you don't, you're not going to get the gun. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Now, the waiting period, it depends. Like in Texas, there is no waiting period, generally speaking. There can be, but there's no mandatory waiting period.
Okay, gotcha.
Other states, California has a mandatory waiting period. New York, Illinois, I think Colorado has one now. So in those states, you absolutely have to wait. You cannot take the gun out the store with
Right.
you. If you can pass the background check in Texas, you can take the gun home.
Gotcha.
Occasionally, the background check will come back and it will say delayed. And what that normally means is they need more time to find that person in the system, so they can delay it up to 4 days.
Gotcha.
And normally, most 99% of the time, the delays all come back as go ahead and proceed. This person is okay, but it may take a day or two for that to happen.
Gotcha.
But again, no one's walking out of a legitimate FFL with a firearm if they have not passed a background check. They're not.
Now that leads me to a question, Russ. Since if you have an LTC and I come back in and decide I want to buy another handgun from you, right? Is the procedure a little different from somebody already licensed with an LTC?
It's a whole lot easier.
Okay.
If you have a license to carry, when you get your license to carry, you have to submit your fingerprints.
Right.
Your fingerprints are sent off to the FBI. They do a background check before they give you the license to carry. So complete with fingerprints. So it's a more extensive background check than even the one that we do here in the store, just for someone wanting to buy a single firearm. So if you have the license to carry, the background check's already been done. They already know that you're a good person, that you're a good guy, that you're not going to go out and do something stupid, or more than likely you're not going to. And so with that, we don't have to call it in. We don't have to do another background check because it's already been done.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And that's good to know, because a lot of people assume that they have to, if it's licensed, that they have to go back through all that.
Now, what we do have to do is there's a website or a database in the state of Texas. We have to go in and make sure that your license to carry is still valid. If
Right.
for some reason you've lost it, well, then all bets are off. But if you have a valid license to carry, you don't have to go through another background check.
And that's another question. I'm just going to, Jordan, I don't mean that. I'm just want to make sure people understand it. If you get a license to carry, it's good for 4 years, and then you can renew it simply online by paying the fee. And so once you have a license to carry, right, Russ, you can go ahead and just renew by paying the next fee in the 4-year period, correct?
I believe so. I think at some point you reach a certain age where it's even longer than 4 years.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm saying there's not the extensive thing you went through when you went and got fingerprinted, when you went through all the back,
No, as long as nothing has changed, as long as you haven't gone out and committed any felonies
or crimes,
domestic violence or anything like that, you're good. Yeah, they just say, you sign an affidavit that says, hey, my information is the same. I behaved myself. Everything's good.
Right.
I'm a felon, and you sign off on it, pay your money, and you're good.
Good
Nice.
class today. Just good stuff.
Yeah, I'm learning so much. And next up is another one that is it's very sensitive. I wanted to ask you about silencers and suppressors.
Yeah, they are becoming really, really popular, and not because people want to go out and shoot up crowds of people with a silencer or a suppressor. They're becoming very popular in Texas because we have such a huge problem with hogs. Wild hogs and destroying property. And the problem with wild hogs, if you go out and you've got a herd of 10 or 12 of them, or a pack, or whatever they're called, and you take that first shot, well, you're going to get one, and the other 20 they're gone. I mean, they are now heading to the back 40. Well, with a suppressor, they don't hardly hear the bang. So it's easy to be able to get 2, 3, 4, 5 before they basically realize what's going on, and then they head for the back 40. So we're sending a lot of suppressors and silencers in Texas right now, primarily for 223s, 308s, those calibers that you would use if you would go out and want to go wild hog or wild boar hunting.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. You do need a special license to purchase a suppressor.
Yes.
The act is called the National Firearm Act, and there are some firearms and or accessories that are covered under that particular act. Suppressors are one of those. Full automatic machine guns, or actually full automatic guns of any kind, are covered under those. Mm-hmm. Short barrel rifles or shotguns where the barrel is, I believe, less than 16 inches is covered under those. So to own any of those items, you need to have a special background check done that does include your fingerprints.
Good.
And each item that you purchase, to get it approved, there's a $200 called a tax stamp. So you pay the ATF $200 for each one of those items to get a stamp that basically says, okay, you are qualified to, or you're able to own these particular type of guns. And it's a much more extensive background check than simply coming in and buying a single firearm.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Wow.
Because there are a lot of people talking about that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and it's it wasn't when I think I got, in fact, I got a trust, which we have since discovered you don't really need to do, but that was probably 10, 15 years ago. I think it took me over 3 months from the time I signed all the paperwork, sent it to the ATF, before I finally got back that, okay, your trust is approved, and now you can have the gun, because you can't get the gun until the background check comes back. So whoever is selling it to you, they're holding it for you until everything's approved.
Gotcha.
Well, now we can literally get an approval because we do everything electronically. Mm-hmm. So you come in, we do your fingerprints electronically, we submit everything electronically. We have special software that we purchased that allows us to do this. Normally, we can get an approval back in 24 to 30 hours.
Oh, wow.
So if someone comes in today at 3 o'clock, more than likely by close of business tomorrow, we'll have the ATF will send us back, okay, you're good to go. It's approved. Go ahead and give this person his firearm.
Wow. From 3 months to 2 days.
Yeah. 3 months to 2 days. Actually, less than 2 days.
That's incredible.
Less than 2 days. And part of it's because it's electronic. They don't have to sort through all the paperwork.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier.
Right. Absolutely. So in fact, we have a lot of that right now. A lot of people coming in and getting suppressors because we can do it so fast. They don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks. They come in and this is the average person. There's no problems. There's no issues. Normally we'll get it back in less than 30 hours.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good to know.
I didn't know that either. That's good to know.
Yeah, it makes it sound like it's such a big ordeal that it makes it kind of intimidating, but it's just another
thing that, and then this was back again when I first did mine. Everyone is, well, you have to have a trust. You have to have a trust. And then as well, in order to be able to pass it on to your heirs, you have to have a trust, which normally is what trusts are for. Mm-hmm. No, there's no reason to have a trust unless you and someone else are going to purchase this particular item together, and both of you want to be able to use it independently of each other. So Herdy and I, we want to buy an item, we buy it together, but Herdy wants to take it to his ranch and use it there, and I want to take it to my friend's ranch and use it there, but we aren't necessarily going to be together. In that particular case, you need a trust so that both of you can have access to that particular item.
Yeah. Wow. Go through the process.
As long as you're going to supervise use of that item, then you don't need a trust. You just basically do it as an individual, way faster, way cheaper. And one of the simplest forms the government ever came out with is the form that actually transfers that gun when you die to your heirs. You just make sure it's in your will. It's a 1-page form. I think the cost is $5. They fill it out, they send it in, and then those items are transferred from whoever just passed away to whoever their heir happens to be. Pretty simple process.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Wow. Learning so much. And since we have the expert here in the house too, I want to pivot a little bit and ask you a little bit about protection. What caliber handgun would you recommend for protection?
Generally speaking, you're going to look at probably a 380 or larger 380. Honestly, I think the best all-around caliber for protection is a 9mm. 22s, absolutely not. 22s are designed to going out and plink around the woods, plink out in the pasture, maybe shoot at squirrels or whatever.
Groundhogs in Pennsylvania.
But if you've got someone who's 6'5", 6'6", and he weighs 275, 300 pounds, and you shoot him with a 22 caliber, chances you're just going to upset him. Is all you're going to do. You definitely are not going to stop him. And the whole point of when you pull that trigger, the name of the game is you want to stop the threat. Mm-hmm. In fact, the law states that you can pull the trigger until the threat is neutralized. So once the threat goes away, if you continue to pull the trigger,
you're in trouble.
Now you have another problem.
Yes, you do.
So, and again, there are some 380s out there that are really nice. Generally speaking, we recommend a 9mm. We don't recommend a 357 Magnum.
No.
45. Some people carry those, all right. But the thing is, honestly, if they ever
they're hard to carry. Russ, you went back to earlier statement saying, I don't care who you are, and you're right. All you have to do is go look at all the accessories for holsters today, whether you're going to wear it inside, back, side, whatever. You put a big 357 or 45, you're going to be really uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
and those guns have a lot of recoil.
Yes, they do. And
unless you're shooting them a lot,
exactly.
Okay? When you go to pull that trigger, you know that gun is
yeah.
And that's the last thing I want if all of a sudden my life is in danger and I'm trying to neutralize whatever that threat happens.
Another good reason to go to a range and test yourself at 7 feet and see how it feels. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you too, how much does hand size play a factor on it? Because for example, I have really big hands. My wife, on the other hand, has really tiny hands.
Yeah.
It does. The nice thing about, especially 9mm, that is probably the most popular caliber. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion based on experience. I don't have any facts that would back that up necessarily, but they come in different sizes. Like we're talking about the Sky, which is a very small gun designed primarily for a woman. I mean, and they come in all different colors: red, white, blue, pink, orange, you name it. They got a color. You can change it when you change your shoes and your hat and your purse.
Yeah.
And then they have the same type of gun, the same caliber, that are in much larger standard sizes. For a man who has a larger hand, making sure that gun fits, whether it be a handgun or a shotgun or a rifle, has a whole lot to do with whether or not it's going to create or cause any pain when you pull the trigger.
Yep.
You don't want pain when you pull the trigger.
Exactly.
So you want the gun to fit, whether it be a handgun or a shotgun or a rifle. You need to find an expert who can help you basically get into the type of gun that you need based on what you're looking for. What am I going to use this for? Mm-hmm. And the size of your hand, the size of your arms, if it's a shotgun or a rifle. Yeah.
And Russ, I would go on to say that's another reason to go to a range, because you want to learn how to properly grip your gun and how to hold your hands on it too, because there's wrong ways to do it and there's right ways to do it. So you get to kind of get a feel for how you're supposed to handle that. So yeah.
Well, we really recommend if you haven't shot a whole lot in the past, okay, spend the money, take a lesson.
Yes.
Absolutely. Just don't go out and start playing around with it thinking, well, it'll be okay. Or my husband will show me. Or my wife, been there, done that. And it did not work out real well.
You don't want to shoot yourself in the leg if you don't understand how to put the gun up, okay?
The last thing you want to do is either take a lesson from, and this is 90% of the time. I understand there's that 10% that are exceptions, but 90% of the time, the last thing you want to do is either take a lesson or give a lesson to a significant other or someone you are emotionally attached to.
Do not do it.
Don't do
Do
it.
not do it. Do not
Because
do it.
90% of the time, it's not
No.
pretty. It
Right.
just isn't.
It just doesn't end.
Right.
Go to the range, get an expert, get someone who's qualified, who has the credentials, whether it be through the NRA or Texas Rifle Association, and take a few lessons so that you feel comfortable when you know what you're doing.
And not only take the lesson for the shooting part, but learn how to pull that thing apart and learn how to clean it, learn how to manage and maintain it, because a lot of people I know don't maintain their guns properly. I'm just telling you, they don't take care.
It's a mechanical device, just like
Yep.
the car. Okay,
Yep.
I mean there's certain things that you have to do in order to keep them in good working order. Absolutely.
Cool.
And so for somebody that is not familiar, hasn't shot a gun or is familiar with it, is wanting to, get one, is that something they could come into your store and you could guide them as to, what to choose and figure out like what kind of what was their size of their hands and arms and all of that?
Absolutely. That's what we specialize in.
Yep.
Is come in and we'll guide you and there's it's the size of the gun, the caliber of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you want to spend? I mean, do you want a Kimber? Do you want to spend $1,500-$1,600 for a firearm? Or do you want to spend $300-$400 for a firearm?
Right. We've done that.
and everything in between. It's that at 3:00. It means if I'm picking up my grandson at school, I should be leaving right now.
Okay. Sorry.
That's what that means. But anyway, so I digressed. We specialize in that. Come on in. And again, it's not only for the men in the audience, but for the women in the audience as well. I think we have a very comfortable store for women to walk into and feel comfortable in. No one's going to intimidate you. No one's going to browbeat you. We're going to do our very, very best to help you and give you what you need to basically make you a happy firearm owner.
And Russ, we'll let you go in a few minutes. I chose a 43X, just so you know, 9mm. Love it.
Just flexing.
Did you hear me?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I said I ended up choosing a 43X. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good. All right. So listen, I wanted to say this. Russ is part of the National Success Group because that's his umbrella over several other things. But not only did we get him for the firearms side, but the next month we get him on another business, and the following month we get him on another business. So this is we're gonna get to know Russ really well. Okay. And hey, Russ, thanks for being on our podcast today. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. And if anyone has any questions at all, reach out. We're here to help you. We're here to guide you and make sure that you have a great experience. And that's what it's all about.
And if you would do me one favor, we're getting ready to sign off. We want everybody to know we'll be back. We'll be back next Thursday at 2:00 with our next guest. We'll be talking to the mosquito people next week, Mosquito Shield, which is a great company, talking about how they kill those mosquitoes. And Russ, we need you to stay here right after I end the stream for about 3 minutes. We need to check and make sure your audio is being uploaded to our stream server. So sit tight. I know you have to run. So guys, thanks for being on Mansfield Buzz. Right, Russ, thanks for being here. Jordan, thanks for being a great host. And we will see you guys next Thursday.
Bye.